friendly. Can we afford to go green? Let's speak with Baroness Natalie Bennett, former leader of the Green Party, still a member, Natalie, of the Green Party, of course. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Lovely to be with you, Ian.
And nice to have you with us as well. I mean, this is a very real issue, isn't it? People thinking like this, we can't afford to go green. What's the Green Party response to that?
Well, our response to this is, if you take it as a slogan you'll hear often on the streets, system change, not climate change. I think it's actually really quite surprising that still 43% of people in this poll said they were trying to balance the two things. But my sympathy, first of all, rests with the people who are struggling to put food on the table, keep a roof over their head. And one side of this is, of course, that we have a huge problem with poverty and inequality. I just was looking at the Joseph Rowntree Foundation minimum income standard. And, a quarter of households are living under that standard, and a quarter of children are living in households 75% below that standard. People are absolutely struggling even before the price rises. So one side of this problem is people don't have enough income, low wages, inadequate benefits. The other side of it is we're seeing particularly increase in prices in energy prices because of gas. And there was a survey out last week showing the government's failure to go for the cheapest forms of electricity, which are onshore wind and solar, over the past decade is now costing people £140 a year on the average bill. So, we need the system to go green. Individuals, it's great if they do what they can, but obviously people have to put food on the table, keep a roof over their head as their starting priority.
And lots of people would like to see there's lots of taxation. I heard this morning there's sort of half a dozen various taxes within an energy bill. It isn't just for environmental issues. There are for social issues in there as well. But I think quite a lot of people sense, Natalie, and this isn't great news for the Green Party, but they sense that, can we cut the VAT for a start and get rid of all that green stuff that's on our bills, because that'll make the whole thing cheaper.
Well, Ian, it might surprise you to know that we've actually called for a temporary cut on the VAT on energy.
I did know that, yes.
On a household energy bill.
Not for the green bit.
But also what we've called for is a winter fuel payment to every household, so £320 to deal with this emergency situation that has arisen because of failed government policies. It's the government that's failed here that's left people with these high bills because of the reliance on gas.
But this is a global issue, of course. It's not just the United Kingdom. I mean, natural gas means we have a slightly more specific case, but everywhere is having the same problem with increases. There's a global gas issue, right?
Yeah, the problem, as you rightly identify, is gas. If you are relying on wind and solar, then what you're doing is, the fuel essentially costs nothing. The price of the wind that runs the turbines never goes up. And we could be saving a huge amount of money by doing that. And, what we could also be doing, I've been working with the Community Energy Association. This is where local groups get together and decide to put solar panels on schools, on factories, put a wind turbine perhaps up on a hill that people think is the right place for it. And the government has been promising for many months to set up a new community energy scheme. And this means people can invest in their local community, save money on their bills, prosperity in every local community in the land. And the government's failing to provide the incentives, the framework for that investment.
Do you think there's a wider problem, though, with the green agenda, Natalie, in the sense that, if you look at the House of Commons, you've still only got one Green MP. Caroline Lucas has been there for many years now, but there's never been more than just her. And every election, I know the first past the post system isn't favourable to smaller parties, so I get that. But nonetheless, if it's unfair, it's equally unfair to everybody. And the Greens just haven't penetrated, really. You've not been able to cut through in that way. So it's still, which suggests that the wider issue of environmental considerations and policies just doesn't land with the average man or woman in this country.
I'm afraid, Ian, you'll perhaps have the very classic London media perspective of focusing on Westminster. If you look around the country, the number of Green councillors over the last couple of years has actually exploded. We're now back running Brighton and Hove as minority in administration. There are 16 councils around England where we're part, with a significant number of councillors, part of rainbow administrations. So Greens are there on the ground. People can see elected Greens delivering for them. And that's something that we've seen transferred in the polls, national polls recently. It's a matter of rust for building. And, political change doesn't just happen slowly and gradually. It happens in big jumps. And when I meet the climate strikers on the streets, when I meet some of the grandmas who are out with the climate strikers, right across the generations, people are seeing that what we're doing now is trashing the planet and creating a really miserable society. and by taking different kind of measures, whether it's renewable energy, focus on walking and cycling, insulating homes, which of course is the total final answer to the energy crisis. The best energy you can have, the cheapest, cleanest, is the energy you don't need to use. Those are all the green policies that people know will deliver for them.
It's not really exploded, though, is it? It's more of a gentle pop.
Well, I think 100, we had the county council elections last time, 100 new councillors. The time before that, we actually had a number of councillors in one election, which no political party has done in modern British political history. If you draw a graph, sadly, we're all very familiar with exponential growth, what an exponential growth graph looks like with COVID.
Yeah.
So that's
but you've never done as well as UKIP did, for example, in council elections.
Well, I think what we saw was, if you're thinking about things that go pop, I think you probably described UKIP quite well.
Well, it's not a bad response as it goes. Listen, Natalie, we'll speak again. Thank you. Baroness Natalie Bennett, former leader of the Green Party, now a member of the House of Lords, with us here on Talk Radio. Let me just